What's so great about America? As I think about this topic, I hearken back to my days as a young boy growing up in India, coming fresh-faced at the age of 70 to the United States for the first time. And I've never lost the shock of my first impressions of America. In other words, I've now lived in America almost my whole life. I'm very much of an insider. I've long been an American citizen. But I still try to maintain a little bit that dual perspective that sees America from the outside and from the inside. I think this is really important because very often when we debate America, when we complain about America, we're doing it within the prism of America. We're doing it, in a sense, short-sightedly, in the manner of the fish condemning the surrounding water. We're using, I may say, a utopian standard. America's terrible. Compared to what? Well, compared to, the Garden of Eden. But that is never the immigrant perspective. The immigrant is always aware that in addition to this utopian standard, I don't reject it, there needs to be a comparative or historical standard that looks at America compared to some other place on earth. In other words, we have to keep our feet on the ground, or else we run the risk of kind of losing the human and realistic perspective of things. And so, for example, we've heard Mr. Ayers talk a little bit about social justice, dividing the pie, getting people's fair share. Never seemed to occur to him, how do you get a pie? Who made the pie? How do you make a pie grow? It's very easy to pull out the carving knife and start splitting. It's much more difficult to actually be the one who comes in with the pie. Now, I want to talk a little bit about America in the broadest scheme of things, to look at what America has meant in the world. If you think about human history, there are very few great inventions in history, truly great inventions. The invention of the wheel, the invention of fire. I think America is responsible for perhaps the greatest invention of all, the invention of wealth creation. Now, what does that mean? What that means is that for centuries and even millennia, nobody knew how to create stuff. Nobody knew how to create wealth. I remember as a kid, I would go to school and I'd have 10 marbles. And I'd look at the other kids and they had more marbles than I did. And I said to myself, how do I go from having 10 marbles to having 12 marbles? And I realized there was no way. None of us had any money. We had marbles. The only way for me to go from 10 marbles to 12 marbles was to take some other guy's 2 marbles. Historically, wealth was acquired through theft, through acquisition, and through conquest. How did countries get founded? Machiavelli says all great nations are founded in crime. You found a country by invading some other guy's country, killing the man who's running it, and declaring yourself to be the king. And that is how wealth was obtained for thousands of years. But the very idea that you can start with 10 marbles and end up with 15 marbles without stealing somebody else's marbles, that's the American idea.